This is the front page of every national and local newspaper for Friday. And in fact, as of this whole week, Trump's new tariffs announcement literally has the stock market crashing. Just before we came on the air to do this show, the Dow Jones dropped more than 2,000 points. Since Donald Trump has taken office on January 19th, the stock market has lost nearly $10 trillion. Just in the past 2 days, the S&P 500 lost $5 trillion. If you just do a basic Google search for the stock market, nothing but negative headlines show up. I mean, literally, if you just read some of these headlines here, it says here, stock markets suffer worst losses since pandemic following Trump's tariff plans. Dow Jones plunges over 2,200 points as tariff carnage roils global markets. And if you just go back and check some of those local headlines, look at this one from a national newspaper. This is the Washington Post. Tariffs sink markets, fan recession fears. U.S. stocks closed down sharply, notched the biggest one-day drop since 2020, when Donald Trump was president last, of course, guys. This is also another one. This is from NBC News here. Trump's tariffs rollout beset by confusion, uncertainty, and mixed messages. Trump's new tariffs will hit lower-income households the hardest. This is another one from the New York Times. Tariff shock waves circle the globe. And here's another one. This is the front page of the Boston Globe. This is how bad it is. This is another newspaper with a huge markup there, and you see the line going all the way down. Tariffs shake the world. This is from the Houston Chronicle. Quote, "We're screwed. Here's where Trump tariff price increases will hurt Houston." UH economist says, quote, "We're screwed. These tariffs are going to cause widespread inflation, widespread job loss, a financial market meltdown, and we're going to be much worse off." He is absolutely handing to the Democrats the rallying cry of "it's the economy, stupid," for the midterms. Of course, that being a phrase that in effect helped, effectively, which is going to help Democrats in the midterms, basically because, of course, people always look to that one thing, or just a couple of things to get reelected. And of course, the economy is going to be terrible because, once again, Donald Trump inherited a great economy by former President Joe Biden, and he's absolutely running it into the ground right now. I mean, if you just look at that New York Times headline again, for example, if you take a closer look, you see how the lines are getting progressively worse and they're going down. Well, if you look at the bottom there, right at the end of the page, the country that is listed there, right at the bottom, is the United States. Amid every single country taking the hit right now, and we are at the bottom because we're taking the biggest hit. And why is that? Because when you put tariffs on other countries, they will respond by putting tariffs on you. That is how the economy works. That is basic high school economics 101. I literally learned that before I graduated high school. And that additional tax, of course, is passed on to the consumers from corporations. And of course, that looks like grocery prices rising, Apple products rising, jobs being lost. That looks like Nintendo Switch literally coming out saying, hey, because of these new tariffs, we're going to have to essentially push back the date to release the new product here because we can't release it now. And that also really looks like more economic turmoil and things just getting exponentially, numerically worse. I mean, this isn't the first time that this happened. When Donald Trump announced last month that we were going to be putting tariffs on countries, this was the stock market actively crashing as he was speaking. This is the president of the United States speaking, addressing the country at the time. And the stock market is crashing actively because investors are freaking out. And of course, the United States is so influential. The United States is such a huge geopolitical, has such an impact on geopolitics that it's important to watch. Our elections impact other countries. Our economy impacts other countries. If something goes wrong in the United States, most likely something is going to go wrong in the rest of the world because we are not just one of the most powerful nations on earth. We are also one of the most influential nations on earth. The United States does a lot in terms of helping out other countries around the globe with USAID and other important key organizations that are now being dismantled by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. But the United States is also key in effectively retaining global peace and global order. And that is just going completely into the ground right now as Donald Trump is announcing these new tariffs and the markets are reacting in just the absolute worst way. I mean, just look at some of these screenshots here. The Dow Jones down, the NASDAQ down, the S&P 500 down. Oh, and Tesla's down? Yeah, I'm sure Elon's not too happy about that. As the Department of Justice is announcing, we're going to go after people who, effectively just protest about Tesla and threatening to go after Representative Jasmine Crockett because she's speaking out against Tesla, a guy who is in charge, who is an oligarch, actively dismantling and eviscerating the federal government. So we can't protest in front of Tesla dealerships now. But of course, it's not just Tesla falling in the United States. It's also Tesla falling completely around the world as, people are not buying Teslas in other countries anymore. And they're literally having to hold a sales event in front of the freaking White House, which is the people's house, by the way, to promote Tesla because, yes, we need to get Tesla. But of course, as the stock market is crashing and prices are continuously rising, of course, the president is just golfing because that's what matters most right now. I mean, some of the headlines that came out of what happened last time when Donald Trump announced that we were going to put tariffs on other countries. These are a couple of the headlines, and I saved them from newspapers when I went in the grocery store and I bought some of these. Look at this one. It says, U.S.-Canada trade war hits twist and turns. Trump cuts metals tariff threats to 25% after Ontario drops electricity airport tax. So, of course, that's from the Wall Street Journal there. This is another one. This is also from the Wall Street Journal from Friday, March 14th, so 2 days after Wednesday, March 12th. This one says, alcohol lands on front line of global trade war. Trump threatens a 200% tariff on European alcohol after EU levies. Really? What? What are we doing? We're just announcing random tariffs. And I'm going to read you this one. This is from the New York Times here. And this one effectively talks about how Republicans had the power to stop this, right? And they just actively just gave away that power. This is from the New York Times. Quote, Republicans in Congress cede power. The Republican-led Congress isn't just watching the Trump administration gobble up its constitutional powers, it is enthusiastically turning them over to the White House. GOP lawmakers are doing so this week by embracing a stopgap spending bill that gives the administration wide discretion over how federal dollars are distributed, in effect handing off the legislative branch's spending authority to President Trump. But that is just one example of how Congress, under unified Republican control, is proactively relinquishing some of its fundamental and critical authority on oversight, economic issues, and more. As they cleared the way for passing the spending measures on Tuesday, House Republican leaders also quietly surrendered their chamber's ability to undo Mr. Trump's tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China in an effort to shield their members from having to take a politically tough vote. That switched off the only legislative recourse that Congress has to challenge the tariffs that are all but certain to have a major impact on their constituents. So, Republicans had the power, the ability to stop Donald Trump's tariffs by using their powers in Congress because Donald Trump, when he announced it, declared effectively a national economic emergency. And Congress can turn that off. They can vote. They have the power to do that as Congress because, each branch keeps each branch in check. But what Republicans in the House did was they just effectively ceded their power. And so they were like, we have the power to stop Trump from doing all these tariffs, which of course we know is economically calamitous and it's extremely detrimental, especially to our constituents who live in rural areas and are going to suffer mostly from these tariffs. But you know what? Why not just give that power to the president? We don't want it. Constitutional clout handed off to Trump. Republicans in Congress cede power. That was a front headline of the New York Times back in March. So, this is where we are, guys. This is how chaotic things have gotten. If you think it was a bad week for you, where you were working, or something that happened in your life, you're not alone. Look at the stock market. I mean, it's just crumbling right now. The economy is literally going to crash. We are going to hit a recession soon. I mean, this week when he announced the new tariffs, this time 4 Republican senators joined Democrats by voting to block Trump's tariffs on Canada from taking effect, using what's left of that congressional power. And if you look at the tariffs that were announced this week, it's not hyperbole to say that we literally have put a tariff on nearly every single nation on earth. I mean, because if you just look at this list here, it's clear that Donald Trump is proud of this. I mean, look at him in this picture. It's clear that he's proud of the fact that we did something so staunchly important, so profound, that we're going to save trillions of dollars, because the word tariff is a beautiful word. It's the most beautiful word in the dictionary. And we're going to save trillions of dollars here in the United States. If you just look at this list here of all the countries that we put tariffs on this week, just look at this. It goes, and it goes, and it goes. 2 of the places on this list he put tariffs on aren't even habitable. No people live there. It's just penguins, polar bears, and seals. Literally putting tariffs on random islands for whatever reason, because of course someone in the Oval Office told him it was a good idea. I'm sure the penguins are going to, stop sending fentanyl to the United States now because we put tariffs on them. I'm sure they're going to stop trafficking weapons. I'm sure the seals are going to, this is literally bizarre. It is insane. I was in a Lyft ride today because I took the day off, so I decided to go out to treat myself. And the driver, I was talking to him about this because surprisingly we were talking about this in the car because I was watching him, and he was redoing his phone to look at the stock market. And I was talking to him about this, and he was like, you can't write a movie this good. This is something that's completely unreal. Even if Hollywood were to have created something like this, it would have been seen as so unreal, so crazy, so out of touch that it literally could never happen. But we are here. And it goes without saying that we are in an economically perilous position. I mean, literally, the reciprocal tariffs are going into effect as other countries are retaliating. Donald Trump is literally destroying the economy and destroying our international relationships with allies and other countries alike. We literally have put tariffs on just any country, including ones that are diametrically inhabitable. JP Morgan Chase has become the first bank in the nation to say that the United States is headed towards a recession. People are freaking out about their 401ks. But it's not to say here that we were not warned. What was that thing that Vice President Kamala Harris said again on the campaign trail?
Tariffs on all imports that he has described would be a 20% sales tax, in essence, on basic necessities for the average American worker, average American family, totaling almost $4,000 a year. That is no small matter. Here in Pittsburgh,
he wants to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that we import from other countries. That will devastate Americans. It will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars.
You want to talk about he's not, he refused to come. But understand that part of his plan is to put in place a national sales tax of at least 20% on everyday goods and necessities. And that, by economist estimates, independent economists, would cost you as the American consumer and taxpayer an additional $4,000 a year.
I want you to meet.
Dude wants to talk about his plans, which really are about cutting taxes for the richest people. Please do check out the Wall Street Journal or Goldman Sachs or the 16 Nobel laureates or Moody's, who have all analyzed the plans and said mine will strengthen the economy, his will make it weaker.
Yeah, that. Donald Trump gets reelected and he enacts his terrible economic plans and his tariffs into place. We would have a recession by the middle of next year. It looks like we are, in effect, maybe going to hit that quite literally before the middle of this year. I mean, it's only April and we are suffering. The stock market is just going up and down like this. And right now it's still going down. We are absolutely suffering as a country, and these tariffs are not going to do anything but strain relationships with our allies and also make this country look more like a joke. But what it's also going to do is for people in this country who are actively working in their jobs, they will be laid off. For people in this country who are shopping and going to grocery stores, or they're looking to buy blue jeans, or they're looking to go shopping for foods, you are going to face a situation where prices have risen exponentially because most of what the United States does is importing. I mean, we have put tariffs on so many countries. I kid you not. Go read this list from Forbes magazine. We have put tariffs on so many countries that so many countries that actively send stuff here. The United States does a lot of importing rather than exporting. A lot of products in the United States are not made in the United States, but they are sold here. Putting tariffs on those countries, in effect, is going to only do damage to us because we, the consumers, are going to pay that tax because corporations are going to pass that tax on to us. Those corporations are not going to pay those taxes. We, as the consumers, are going to pay the taxes. Tariffs is not putting a tax on another nation and that nation paying the tax. Tariffs is putting a tax on our nation, effectively. And then we are paying for that. The other country does not pay for the tariff. We pay for the tariff. Basic Economics 101. But you know, alcohol is getting attacked now and other things because, of course, let's just throw out numbers. 25% tariff, 200% tariff, 10% tariff, 35% tariff. Good luck with higher iPhone prices and higher everything, higher groceries, higher eggs, because we have decided to destroy the economy that was handed to us perfectly in really, really good condition. The economy of Joe Biden was the envy of the world. And that could have been inherited by Donald Trump, and he could have continued to elevate that. Or, I don't know, just keep it stable until maybe another Democrat got elected because he's never kept anything actually elevated anything like the last time when he inherited Barack Obama's economy. He actively did not push that economy up. The economy literally stayed the same and then it went down because he crashed it during COVID. We are in a very economically perilous situation. Tariffs do not help anybody. They specifically are not going to help anyone. All tariffs do are strain diplomatic relationships that this country has built to preserve peace around the world and also economic stability geopolitically, but they're also going to hurt Americans. That is the basic understanding of what tariffs are going to do. No one is going to win here. The President of the United States of America has started trade wars with multiple countries. And we are about to watch the devastating impacts of that. Follow here on the Jeremiah Patterson Show for more consistent reporting and updates and news topics. You can follow me, of course, on Blue Sky. I'm at TJPS News, also on Substack at TJPS News. Another place you can follow us, of course, is on TikTok at TJPS News. Also, if you would like to donate to the show financially, these are the ways to do it. As always, I appreciate your consistent support and your love and your kindness. I'm eternally grateful for you all. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.